Are you sick and tired of people pressing buttons even when you're certain you have the advantage? In this video, we're going to talk about why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it. Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. As always, we ran a pool and the people have spoken. You wanted Jack-8 frame traps and here I am. A frame trap is essentially a sequence of two moves. The first move is the bait and the second move is the read. There are three types of frame traps I want to cover in this video. First is the frame advantage frame trap, where you obviously have the advantage through frames but your opponent chooses to press anyways. The second type is the pushback or distance frame trap, where you're technically minus, but spacing and the pushback from your move makes your opponent whiff. The last one is the mind game frame traps, where you press even while minus on block because your opponent is scared or confused by the follow-ups of the moves you are using. In this video, I'll go through the most viable and useful frame traps for Jack-8, starting with the strongest and most consistent ones. Enjoy! The most common and reliable frame trap Jack-8 has is down back 1 into while standing 4. Down back 1 leaves you at +1, which already means even a jab will trade in your favor. Once your opponent starts respecting down back 1, that's when the real game begins. You can start doing things like force crouch down 1-1 or down 1 +2 or even while standing 2 mixes. Down back 1 by itself isn't scary. What's scary is what comes after once the opponent stops pressing. Be careful, they can always step your while standing 4 and launch you for it, so don't be predictable. Force crouch down 1 works very similarly to down back 1, but the difference is the frame advantage, as force crouch down 1 leaves you at +3 instead of +1, which makes it very clearly your turn. At +3, while standing 4 becomes extremely reliable, and you can also go for force crouch down forward 4 if you want something riskier. Just keep in mind that it's not safe. Forward 1 or Jackhammer is one of Jack's OG defining moves, and it still plays a massive role in his playstyle. It has huge range, it's a mid, and it's -6 on block, and it's hard to step. But what makes this move special is the pushback. Most fast mids that try to check you will simply whiff, allowing Jack to keep pressing. On top of that, if you transition into stance after forward 1, you're actually +4 on block, which turns this into a frame advantage trap as well. I like to mix this move up in several ways. Sometimes I go into stance and cancel into force crouch mix-ups. Sometimes I don't go into stance and just do forward 1 into forward 1. If I have a read that my opponent moves a lot, I'll go forward 1 into back 1 +2 or up back 1 +2. To prevent them from sidestepping. And once my opponents start respecting Jackhammer, I simply dash in and poke. Sidestep 2 is a ridiculous move if you understand distance. It leaves Jack at +9, which means even a jab from your opponent will trade with something like Jackhammer. Because of that huge frame advantage, Sidestep 2 becomes a powerful lockdown tool. You have a lot of options here. You can use down forward 4 to shut down side steps and mashing. You can poke with down back 1, though honestly, at +9, I'd rather go for something more rewarding. Any gamma hold mixed with gamma charge is also valid, since you can transition into stance from side step 2. If the opponent is close enough, down back 1 +2 is great to force them to duck. And my personal favorite is grabs after side step 2. Which forces the opponent to start crouching. All of these options have small loopholes, but they're all valid. Just remember, sidestep 2 is a high, so don't become predictable with it. Sidestep 1 is the natural mix-up for sidestep 2. It's a mid and it's +6 on block, which creates a very similar situation. You get most of the same pressure options as sidestep 2, except stance transition are more limited, although forward 3 into stance mix is still possible. This move exists mainly to stop opponents from ducking sidestep 2 too much, but it also can be fuzzy ducked and avoided. 2 1 into 1 + 2 is a string that ends in a high. and leaves you at -4, but it creates a surprising amount of pushback. Because of that pushback, things like jab, power crush, or even gamma hold become strong options even while you're -4. This is another example of Jack breaking the rules through spacing. Down back 4 is a low that's -2 on hit, but it creates way more pushback than people expect. Because of that, following up with something like Y standing 4 or power crush often catches opponents off guard, especially if they try to take their turn immediately. In general, anything that leaves Jack at +4 or more is a frame trap. At +4, back 4-4 is guaranteed if the opponent presses. Down back 1 is still a great poking tool and beats anything that isn't a low crush. And 1+2 is very strong because it high crushes, launches, and shuts down sidestep. These are your options after a +4 move. Situations that give you +4 or more include forward, forward, forward 1+2, up forward 2, and forward, forward 3. Any heat dash is also +5 on block. And let's not forget forward, forward, forward 2, which leaves you at +6. Which allows down forward 4 and all the other pressure options. We mainly spoke about pushback and frame advantage frame traps, and it's time to talk about the last type of frame traps, mind game frame traps. These are situations where you're technically minus, but your opponent hesitates because they're scared of follow-ups. 2-1 into down 2-1, forward 2, or 1+2 works really well, because 2-1 is only -3 and has multiple extensions. Most players hesitate or press late, which gives you the advantage due to reaction delay. Down forward 1 into down 2-1 is something I use a lot as a round ender. Down forward 1 has a mid extension that counter hit launches, which makes people freeze. Using down 2-1 after down forward 1 on block is always confusing for your opponent. Forward 1 into down back 1 or 1+2 also works, even though I personally don't use it that much. Forward 1 has a high follow-up, and a lot of people would try to duck after they see the forward 1 animation. Pressing down back 1 right afterwards will confuse the timing and get you plus frames, even though you're technically minus after forward 1 on block. This is one of my favorite frame traps to use, even though technically it's very risky. When you have gamma charge, gamma hold 3+4 and gamma hold 1 change into a red version of the original moves, and they both create a slight pushback that leaves your opponent confused. Even though both of these moves are minus on block, pressing down 2-1 after them is not a bad option. Forward 3 is another classic. You can go into stance, especially in heat, or just finish with forward 3, 1+2, or forward 3, 2. Forward 3 has a lot of options to go for. I would honestly recommend you to go watch the video I made on stance mixes that includes all of the forward 3 options that you can go for. And finally, anything that leaves Jack at -4 on block can still be turned into a special frame trap, mainly because of the gamma hold properties. The gamma hold parry activates at 7 frames. Even though it's a slow move, it still can turn any situation in your favor if you know how to use it. For example, back 4-4 when fully blocked is -4 and forces crouch. Technically, your turn is over here. But because Jack has gamma hold, right after that, I like to go into gamma hold and continue my turn. Because most people would just press Y standing 4 or any other Y standing move, which will technically result in me getting my turn due to gamma hold pair. I tried to include most of the useful and practical frame traps for Jack-8. We covered frame advantage traps, pushback traps, and mind game traps. If you have any additions or techs you use yourself, feel free to share it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.